Disturbance amidst manufactured tranquility. In a city ablaze with lights where skyscrapers reach for the heavens, piercing the sky, people never seem to stop running. The blare of car horns echoes in every corner, hurried footsteps fill the intersections, and the eyes of the people are always fixed on a distant, elusive goal. In that place, living slowly is almost a taboo, for everyone fears being left behind. Amidst that hurried space, a wealthy man sits quietly in the penthouse office of a skyscraper. He wears an impeccable suit, and on his wrist is an expensive watch, a symbol of power and success. His assets could buy anything he wants, or so he thought. But as he looks out the window, where the city lights reflect on the night sky, his heart is empty. He wonders where he went wrong. Why does everything still feel lacking, even though he has it all? Not far from the city, where meadows stretch to the horizon, an old farmer sits beneath a banyan tree. In front of him is a cup of warm tea, its steam still lingering. Behind him is a small, humble house with a verdant garden. He has no expensive watch, no shiny car, but every smile of his is genuine. His eyes sparkle with peace, as if there is nothing for him to contend with. This image makes us wonder, where does true happiness lie? The wealthy man thought that money and power would bring peace, but what he possessed was just a mask hiding deep insecurity. Conversely, the old farmer, though having nothing in hand, seemed to have found the key to contentment. Perhaps what makes us uneasy is not the lack of material possessions, but the loss of ourselves amidst the noise of the world. Modern society is like a giant machine that pushes people to chase after standards of success relentlessly. We rush into an endless race, believing that if we achieve just one more goal, we will find happiness. But ironically, the more we have, the more we fear losing it. The higher we climb, the lonelier we become, like the wealthy man sitting in the penthouse, not knowing why his heart remains empty. Ancient wisdom greets you. With each video and each shared insight, we aim to convey profound and meaningful messages to you. Each lesson, each ancient saying, may be simple, yet contain values that might not be immediately grasped. My advice is to listen to them in full, or, when you have time, listen to them repeatedly. These values may gradually seep into your soul. Eventually, you'll find yourself having matured and transcended to a new height. That is the power of philosophies proven by time. Let ancient wisdom accompany you on your journey of self-discovery and development. May you find what you need amidst the words and the messages. Meanwhile, the old farmer is not caught up in that race. He lives with what he truly needs, no more, no less. He understands that happiness comes not from grasping, but from letting go. Each day of his is a day lived fully, because he knows how to immerse himself in each moment, each breeze, each drop of dew. Perhaps, amidst the hurried currents of life, what we truly need is not another success, but fewer expectations, not to seek perfection, but to accept imperfection. Happiness, in the end, is not a destination, but a journey. A journey that doesn't need the blare of car horns, titles, or admiring glances. It is a journey back to ourselves, where the disturbances of the heart are only reminders that we are living authentically and truthfully. Ask yourself, when was the last time you felt truly at peace? And have you forgotten it on the journey of searching for something that even you aren't sure of? The ancients have said, when the heart is at peace, all things are at peace. When the heart is moved, all things are in chaos. That philosophy, though seemingly simple, contains a deep truth about peace in life. To understand this better, let's reflect on the story of the woodcutter and the emperor. Once upon a time, there was a powerful emperor. In his hands were vast lands, treasures filled to the brim, and thousands who obeyed his commands. But despite his wealth and authority, the emperor could not find something that even ordinary people could have: peaceful sleep. Every night he tossed and turned on his luxurious bed, his mind constantly besieged by worries about politics, scheming ambitions, and the fear of betrayal. Following the advice of a Taoist priest in the palace, the emperor left the capital alone and sought tranquility in a remote mountainous area. There, he encountered a woodcutter chopping wood. The woodcutter lived alone deep in the forest, his home just a simple hut. But when looking into the woodcutter's eyes, the emperor saw a peace that he had never had in his life. The emperor asked, "You live in scarcity, without wife, children, or friends, so why can you smile every day?" The woodcutter replied, "Your Majesty, my life is simple, but it lacks nothing. Every day I chop wood, gather vegetables, and drink spring water. I don't have to worry about who will seize what I have tomorrow, nor do I need to compete with anyone. I just live for today, and that's enough." Surprised, the emperor asked further, "So what is your secret? How can you have the good sleep that I am seeking?" The woodcutter smiled softly. "Your Majesty, the secret lies in letting go. When your mind stops pursuing endless things, you will feel relieved. But when your heart is constantly worrying, even gold and jade cannot bring you peace of mind." This story leaves us with a great lesson. Peace does not come from what we possess, but from how we perceive and face life. In modern society, we often confuse happiness with material fulfillment. We work relentlessly, chasing after distant dreams, sometimes not knowing if we really need them. The burdens on our shoulders are not just work, family, or money, but also the bottomless aspirations in our hearts. The more we try to fill the emptiness with external things, the more we forget that it is our soul that needs to be nurtured the most. The woodcutter in the story is not a symbol of poverty, but a testament to a gentle way of life. He has learned to simplify everything, not just to reduce assets, but, more importantly, to let go of the burdens in his mind. What is the core philosophy of peace? It is to let go of endless desires and learn to live with the present. Like a cup of muddy water, only when we stop stirring does the water become clear. The human mind is the same. If we don't let our hearts be calm, everything around us, no matter how good, cannot satisfy us. Ask yourself, what are we chasing after, and how important is that really to us? Perhaps the answer does not lie in the things we want to add to our lives, but in the things we need to reduce. And when our heart is at peace, the world around us will become simpler and gentler than ever before. The dark side of modern society, when the darkness in the heart overshadows the light outside. Society today, under its brilliant and promising exterior, hides deep shadows. Humanity is improving technologically, materially, and in connectivity, but in their hearts, core values are gradually being eroded. We are living in an era where insatiable desires, declining morality, and psychological anxiety not only exist, but are becoming epidemic, eating away at individuals and society as a whole. People once said that desire is the source of all suffering, but in modern society, desire not only exists, but is also nurtured and amplified by social media and the media. Every day, we come into contact with shiny images where people flaunt their wealth, power, and luxurious experiences. Celebrities with lavish lifestyles are touted, and expensive designer goods become the new standards of success. But in reality, the truth behind those images is much crueler. Those are mounting debts, the struggle to imitate the lives of others without knowing that they are turning themselves into puppets in a play full of pretense. People no longer live for themselves, but live to be seen, to have things that others envy. The price of this race is not only money, but also health, spirit, and close relationships. We try to fill the emptiness with new things, but forget that happiness does not lie in external things, but in inner peace. Along with the increase in desire, human morality is also suffering heavy damage. Never before have we witnessed so many heartbreaking stories of deceit, betrayal, and trampling on each other as now. From the office to the business market, even in family relationships, greed is gradually degrading human values. We live in an era where the saying, "the end justifies the means," is applied without the slightest hesitation. People are willing to cheat, slander, or even harm colleagues to advance. A business can ignore ethics to maximize profits, regardless of the price to pay in the health or lives of thousands of people. Sadly, society sometimes encourages these behaviors. Success is defined by money, status, and power, without caring about the path to achieve them. The winners are touted, while true values are considered weak and outdated. But who is the real winner? Perhaps every time we hurt someone, lose a part of our conscience, we are losing ourselves. Perhaps success at all costs is not really worthwhile if the price is the collapse of character and self-respect. In modern life, people's inner selves are increasingly insecure. We no longer live for ourselves, but are controlled by the eyes of others, by the judgments and expectations of society. People spend hours editing a photo and writing a status line to get a few hundred likes, but don't spend even a minute facing their souls. This insecurity is not accidental. It is the result of worshiping glitter while forgetting the true value of silence. While the mind is constantly being stirred by external goals, we lose the ability to connect with ourselves. Worries and fears increasingly accumulate, turning people into lost souls even in their own homes. Happiness, if any, is only fleeting because it is based on fragile things, the recognition of others, temporary success, and superficial values. Meanwhile, true happiness, the happiness that comes from inner harmony, is forgotten and neglected. To escape this darkness, people need to learn to let go, not let go of everything outside, but let go of insatiable desires, fears, and burdens in the soul. As the ancient philosophers said, when the heart is at peace, all things are at peace. When the heart is moved, all things are in chaos. Salvation does not come from achieving more, but from giving up more. From giving up comparison, from giving up living for others, and learning to accept oneself. Happiness is not owning more, but needing less. Living simply does not mean being poor, but living true to what we really need. Ask yourself what is really important to us, what makes us feel light and at peace. Perhaps the answer does not lie in the things we are trying to achieve, but in the things we need to let go of. Peace is not a gift, but a choice. Only when we choose to slow down, stop chasing the illusions of the world, can we find the true light in our souls, and that is the path to overcome the dark side of modern society. In the swirling current of modern life, people often mistakenly believe that the more they possess, the happier they are, the faster they run, the closer they get to contentment. But the philosophy of the ancients, especially the thought of Lao Tzu, reminds us that stillness is strength, and knowing enough is being full. He who knows he has enough is always rich. Lao Tzu's saying is not just a piece of advice, but a key to finding peace in a world full of changes. Knowing enough does not mean accepting poverty or giving up aspirations, but understanding the limits of what we really need, the ability to distinguish between the essential and the excessive, between true happiness and fleeting illusions. In modern society, we are easily caught up in an endless cycle of ambition, but the ancients realized early on that when greed has no stopping point, people will never feel enough, never truly peaceful. The mind is always like an overflowing cup, but doesn't contain anything meaningful. One of the typical stories that expresses the philosophy of knowing enough is the story of Zhuangzi refusing to be an official. At that time, the king of Chu invited Zhuangzi to be an official in the court. But instead of being excited about the opportunity for glory and wealth, Zhuangzi refused by telling a story. I heard that in the state of Chu, there is a sacred tortoise that died 3,000 years ago. Its remains are placed in a jade box kept in the temple, receiving incense and worship from the people. But if it could be asked whether it would rather live freely in the mud or lie dead in that jade box, I think it would choose the mud. That refusal was not merely a rejection of fame and fortune, but also a declaration about the value of freedom and inner peace. For Zhuangzi, glory and wealth were not worth trading for the peace of his soul. Another story from Japan tells of Ryokan, a famous monk and poet, who lived a simple life in a small hut. One night, when Ryokan was meditating, a thief broke into his hut, but because Ryokan's hut had nothing of value, the thief had to leave disappointed. Ryokan watched the thief's back and smiled, thinking to himself, "I regret that I cannot give him the bright moon in the sky." Ryokan's life is the clearest testament to the power of stillness and letting go. He did not care about material wealth, because he understood that true happiness does not lie in what we possess, but in how we perceive the world. Those stories, though thousands of years old, still retain their value in society today. Silence is not weakness or avoidance, but a state of inner strength. The one who knows stillness is the one who controls themselves, not being swayed by temptations or difficulties. When the heart is still, we can see clearly what we really need, instead of chasing after goals imposed by society. Stillness helps us realize that true wealth does not lie in the amount of assets we possess, but in our ability to feel joy from small and simple things. The ancients have left us a valuable lesson. Let go to be free, be still to find strength. In a noisy world, knowing how to stop to listen to yourself is not easy, but that is the only path to peace. Learn to look deeply inside. Ask yourself what truly makes you happy. And when you realize that happiness does not come from racing or comparing, you will see, as Lao Tzu said, "He who knows he has enough is always full." In the context of modern society, when everything seems to be defined by material possessions, fame, and outward standards, the lesson of Confucius remains fully valuable. The gentleman values virtue, the petty man values profit. This philosophy is not only a reminder about the difference between people who live nobly and those who chase after self-interest, but also a compass for people to find their core values, living a life of peace and meaning. It does mean that with what we have, our heart is very much more important than all. Know to put the best and to give